Now, China has long been the biggest market for smuggled ivory in the world. That may be about to change, though. A ban on the sale of ivory comes into force in China from today. And conservationists hope it will help protect the nearly 30,000 elephants killed for their tusks in Africa each and every year. Let's turn to Dominic Dyer, policy advisor at the Born Free Foundation. Dominic, a very good afternoon to you. Looking to the words of the world, the WWF today, who say, delighted to see the doors of the world's largest ivory market close. Are they closed completely?
No, they're not, but this is a major step forward. You know, this has been in the pipeline for the last 12 months. There's been over 1,000 ivory carving markets and shops that have now been closed across China. There's been a significant drop in the overall price of raw ivory. It's come down by over 65% in the last 12 months, according to state media. And the level of seizures of illegal ivory coming into China has declined rapidly as well. So it's a major step forward by what is the biggest market for illegal ivory that's led to a massive destruction of elephants over the last few decades in Africa.
Has there been a genuine change of heart in China at a policy-making level?
Yes, I think so. And I think all credit to people like Prince William that's been there and has spoken very, wisely about what China needs to think about in terms of its leadership role in the world. And I think there's a growing middle and upper class in China. They're educated and traveling around the world. And I think they do feel the shame factor when it comes to looking at the future of Africa's elephants. They don't want to be seen as a nation that's leading to the destruction of a species in Africa that's lived obviously for tens of millions of years. So I think there's recognition from the street, there's recognition at the highest government level that action needs to be taken. But there's still a lot of room here for corruption and fraud and problems. And in territories like Macau and Hong Kong, which are really global hubs for the ivory trade, that continues to be a problem. So we really need to monitor things very carefully indeed.
Just tell us a bit more, if you can, about Hong Kong, because as you say, it's been identified as a potential hub from here on in.
Yes, Hong Kong is one of those places where when you had the illegal trade in ivory, basically you had stockpiles of ivory that were put into the world market in the late 90s and noughties at various stages. A lot of it ended up in Hong Kong and it's been held in stockpiles there. And then basically illegal ivory has been mixed with it. It's sold through a number of retail outlets to foreigners who come into Hong Kong and then take it back to mainland China or elsewhere. So it's seen as a major problem. There's been a lot of investigations by the Environmental Investigation Agency and other good bodies like Traffic that have really focused in on this, and there's been a lot of seizures in Hong Kong, but there is still a major problem there.
Does it naturally follow that if you stop the demand, or at least curb the demand, the supply will drop accordingly?
Well, we are beginning to see some impact, but let's be clear about the problem that we face. When I was born in 1970, there were 1.3 million elephants on the African plains. Today, there's probably less than 400,000. We're losing between 20
a lot of that's not down to ivory, is it? A lot of that's not down to ivory. That's population growth. What's happening?
No, a lot of it is down to ivory. A lot of it is down to mistakes the international community made in the past, where it basically put stockpiles of ivory into the marketplace in countries like China with massive economic growth and huge demand. It was like pouring petrol on a fire. That's why we've seen the big criminal syndicates and cartels that deal in drugs going into Africa with helicopters and high-powered rifles and other equipment to massacre elephants. So yes, it is a massive problem. The decline in elephant numbers in the 1980s, 90s and beyond, a significant factor on that is the ivory trade, and that's why this is so important to tackle it.
How big is the illegal trade now then?
It is still a significant problem, not just for ivory, but for rhino horn as well. That's now trading over $60,000 a kilo. Big markets in places like Vietnam and Laos for those products. And even in the UK here, of course, we have a significant debate. There's a closure of a consultation process. The UK government looking at the future of the UK ivory trade. Over 60,000 people have responded to that, 20,000 over Christmas alone. This was a big issue during the election campaign. The seat of Kensington and Chelsea was lost by the Conservative Party, primarily on the issue of the ivory trade, because the MP there was very much focused on lobbying for the antiques industry to keep it open. So we have a significant issue in how we see the trade in antique ivory, so-called ivory that was carved before 1974 that cannot be policed properly, which is then leading to demand in China and other parts of the world as well. So we've got our own part to play here in Britain. Europe has more to do. I think also we have more to do with our foreign aid budget. It's good to see that the Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson is saying that he wants to put the UK on the leadership front in terms of protecting the future of Africa's elephants. We've got $13 billion a year we spend on foreign aid. We don't spend very much of that in terms of what's happening in Africa to protect endangered species. I do think we need to do far more with that, and that's a huge opportunity for the UK government, with Prince William and Prince Harry taking the lead in the work they're doing as well.
Dominic Dyer, thanks very much.